Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to the Shay Show. My name is Shay. Today we're going to speak with Chantel Cherry-Lassiter. I met her through a common friend of mine. She's making some great waves in the criminal justice world, and I just wanted to hear about her process. While I was learning more about what she does, I learned how her journey looks to becoming an attorney. It is one that is rife with encouragement. It has all the stuff of a beautiful epic story. Dashes, hardships, the hero almost dies, the hero pulls it out in the end. She's lived with a lot of different things that I think, especially in this COVID year of 2020, we can look to and be encouraged and find inspiration in our own lives and know that we can keep going. She will be here shortly. She's never done a live. I've now been doing them for a while, so I feel like an expert at them. But I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? Hope well. Let's see. There she is. I'll go get her. And let me go invite her over. I feel like this light is a bit bright. Isn't that better? Isn't that better? I think that's better. That other light was... Hey!
I feel like I should turn my my camera.
There you you are lovely. Lovely, Chantel. Chantel, I was just telling them you and I have never met in person. How I found out about you is we have a common friend. And I started hearing about these amazing waves you're making in the criminal justice world. And then after you and I spoke, we were introduced on the Zoom call. I kept asking you questions, and your life is like this epic journey. And so then what became one idea of why I wanted to speak to you, it quickly pivoted into like, ooh, we need to talk about that life, because in this COVID 2020 year that has come to teach us all so many things, one thing that we do not have enough of, and we certainly are not lacking in needing, is inspiration and encouragement. The little that you told me, it had everything of a great story. The hero, the villain to the hero, the great difficulties that the hero has, the guy that comes along and helps the hero, and the hero almost dies, and then in the end the hero is redeemed and locks it in. So thank you so much for sharing your time and space with us. Chantel, I'd like to begin by asking, where are you in the world?
I am here trying to navigate life.
What state? Tell me physically. What state, city?
Yeah, physically located in Hertford, North Carolina, which is in Northeast North Carolina. Little King, near Virginia.
Oh, it is? See, I don't even know this. Where, what big city is it near? Is it near Raleigh? Is it near, no?
Virginia Beach.
She's like, Virginia Beach.
Yeah, we're about 35 minutes from Chesapeake, about 45 minutes from Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're closer. The closest city in North Carolina would be Greenville, North Carolina. It's still like 20-some minutes away from me.
Okay. Chantel, so I know, can you tell a little bit about where you work right now? And then I want to dive into how you got there. Where do you work, Chantel?
I am currently at Southern Coalition for Social Justice, and that is in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Prior to COVID, I would go down to Durham once or twice, maybe 3 times, depending on the need. And now, because of everyone is remote, we're doing a lot of, basically most of our work from home.
Okay. And how long have you worked there?
I have been here as an attorney since June of 2019. In 2016, I started as an intern. So throughout my law school time, I interned and volunteered there at Southern Coalition.
So tell me, what is it that you guys do there?
I am primarily in the criminal justice reform team. So we deal with reentry, deal with people who have been formerly incarcerated or involved in the criminal justice system. And I do expunction. So that helps people get back acclimated to the community and able to find employment and housing and things like that.
What are expungements for those who will be listening and have no idea what that is?
Yeah, an expungement is a process that takes your criminal record and takes your charges that are currently on your record that are eligible to come off and be removed. And you go through a process of filing paperwork with the court and asking the judge to say, hey, this was 5, 10 years ago. I've since done my time. I'm back into society. Can I get this off of my record and move on with life without having this? I always call it like a scarlet letter, a cloud hanging over me.
Sure.
Yes. So it basically burns and terminates any proof of any involvement that you have with the criminal justice system.
So then now, like when you are seeking employment and it says, have you been incarcerated before? Have you ever been to jail? You can, if it has been expunged, you can truthfully say no.
No, exactly.
Okay. I want people to see how this impacts your life. What are things that I guess that you can get expunged? Like, what are the types of things that you see people attempting or wanting to get expunged?
Yeah, for example, one of the main things, and the law is currently changed, I do want to put that out there, we're currently trying to advocate for improvements in the expungement process. The dismissals, if you have a charge and you get into any type of interaction with authorities, and you have a charge on your record and you go to court and they dismiss it. Oh, you think it's gone? No, it's still there. It's still on your record. It says voluntary dismissal, but people can still see it. So if I've been accused of something, heinous, and say, I don't know, robbery, and I go to court and it's dismissed, or I'm found not guilty, it's still on my record. So when employers pull it up, it's still there,
Ooh.
So one of the things that the law is changing now, where it's going to be automatic, that you can get your automatically have your dismissals expunged before, and before it was, you had to find an attorney, you had to file paperwork. If you didn't know how to file paperwork, you had to, pay for an attorney to get this charge off of your record because you wouldn't know how to do it. So that's one thing. So any dismissals are not guilty verdicts. And misdemeanors, if you have a nonviolent misdemeanor, such as, larceny or embezzlement, something like that, where you are trying to get employment and you have this misdemeanor from 7-10 years ago, your employees are going to see that. So now if you have a misdemeanor, if you have a misdemeanor, nonviolent, and it's been 7 years, you can get those expunged by going through the process. And also nonviolent felonies, you can get those expunged as well.
What is larceny?
That you take me back to law school. The unlawful taking of property of another. That's the technical term, but basically stealing.
Yeah. I just wanted people to know because it's a word you hear a lot, and the word larceny sounds very harsh, doesn't it? And it's not saying that stealing isn't bad, but I think that larceny carries greater depth and greater heft in people's minds when they hear that word. Oh my God, larceny! I'm like, they stole something. I'm not saying it's right, but they stole something. What I want to bring people to really hear too is that you said, when I asked, what are the kinds of things that need to be expunged? What would that look like? And you said, a charge, and like, I need people to hear this. You are not guilty. You haven't been found guilty. You have been charged. Someone has said you have done X. What she's saying is, when that goes before the court and it's dismissed, that charge, the fact that someone said, Shay stole that backpack. I'm taking this specifically to the young man, Muhammad, who I forget his last name right now, but we know that he was taken over to Rikers. He was charged with stealing a backpack, and he was held for 3 years. He spent a lot of time in confinement by himself. And this was all because he was charged.
And he was under 18 too, I think, at the time.
Yes, he was. He was under 18. My point is, it wasn't that he necessarily stole a backpack. Is that someone said he stole a backpack, and they were able to hold him until they inquired more about that backpack. But that period of time was 3 years. And he was in solitary confinement for a good portion of that time. And when he finally was released, he killed himself. Yeah. Because of the burden of what that felt like to live that. And so my point is when he came out, I want you guys to understand, that he was released because there was nothing found there. But he was still walking around with a criminal record because someone said he stole a backpack. Do we hear this?
Exactly.
And so I want people to hear how damaging a charge is, a charge that's dismissed is to your life. And what Chantel is doing is creating a process by which those things can be expunged and that person can stand erect in society. So now tell us about the expungement process, please, and what you've created.
I lost you a couple of seconds there. The expungement process, I think you just asked about that.
Yeah, so what I've said, so tell us a little bit about the expungement process and what you have created.
Okay, so I have created a toolkit. It's named after Umar Muhammad, which was an employee at Southern Coalition for Social Justice. He was he passed away in a motorcycle accident July of 2017, and he was very instrumental in the Clean Slate clinics that we used to have. We used to get together and have people. There you are. And have people come together and give them information. So we're no longer doing those, the big clinics because COVID and different things have happened. But he still, made an impact on me personally at learning the process and learning how, our communities are impacted by these records and these past mistakes that we may have made. So what the toolkit does is it's electronic. You can find it at southerncoalition.org, and you can click on, right now it's under the news tab, and it's going to send you a link back to the toolkit. But it basically shows you how to get the paperwork. The paperwork is online. The clerk's offices in the different counties can't tell you how to do it because they can't, give you legal advice. But you can go online and obtain the papers, which is called a petition or a form. Get the form together, get whatever documents you need to get together. Depending on what the situation is, if it's a voluntary dismissal, you just need that form and, head to the clerk's office. If it's a conviction, you need the form along with an affidavit saying that you've done everything for your sentence, you've paid all your fines, and whatever else was required of you, you've already completed that. So you need a paper to have, to have that attached to it. And it's a process. It's a lengthy process. It could take 6 months up to a year. And
it's also a costly process.
It is. To file expungements for guilty convictions, it's like $175 just to file it, on top of any fees that that notaries may charge you. And then you have to get a copy of your record. So all this adds up, and a lot of people don't have that, And my goal is with the toolkit, if this is going to cost this much, then you can kind of start saying, okay, let me put this to the side, or let me, figure this out, versus paying an attorney $500 or higher, up to $1,000, $1,500 to do it for you. So but like I said, it's a process. So you can actually contact me at Chantel at scsj.org if you need to have some guidance. I can kind of walk you through it. I'm
going to put your email below.
Yeah. Definitely. And because we're remote, email is best right now. And it's take it to the clerk's office. You do have to go to court. You have to ask the judge, hey, and that's scary for people. You tell the judge, I've done what I'm supposed to do. I've completed everything. It's happened 5, 10, 15 years ago. I will say for misdemeanors, if you have one misdemeanor, you have to wait 5 years. If you have more than one misdemeanor, you have to wait 7 years.
And what's a misdemeanor?
A misdemeanor is a charge that it's a whole list of them, but basically it's a charge that it's determined the length of sentencing. So if it's a nonviolent, which means not an assault, not a violent crime, those are some of the misdemeanors. They do consider assault a violent misdemeanor, even though it's a misdemeanor. They will not expunge assaults right now. If you have been basically fighting, if you have fought somebody and been charged with it, somebody hit you, you hit somebody, you hit them back, and you got charged with assault and you convict of assault, they consider that a violent crime. So that's why some people, if you're in high school, you get into a little scuffle, you're 18. At seniors, they're 18. So the laws just changed, where before, if you were 16, you'll be charged as an adult. But now, if you're 18, you're charged as an adult. They consider that an adult offense at 18 if you get into scuffle in high school. You can't get that off. It's an assault. Even if somebody hits you and you hit them back, if they don't find it in court that you were not guilty. If they find you guilty in court, you're charged with them, you know, you're convicted of an assault.
I mean, pause on this. I need people to hear this. So getting into, you know, like we all got into fights, especially boys when they're younger, like I beat up him, he beat up him, these kinds of things. I want us to understand the weightiness of the implications of physical violence, even the coming of age sort of violence that we're kind of used to, like I cold cocked him in his face, I punched him in the nose. Those kinds of things, once over the age of 18, are considered criminal offense, violent criminal offenses. It's not to say, I'm not trying to minimize how not fun it is to get punched, but I can totally see how an 18, 19, 20-year-old guy at the bar who's had too much to drink and he and his friends are talking and some guy is an interloper to their little inner circle. He has no idea that that punch that he just threw on the guy who got on his nerves is truly a criminal offense that can land you behind bars and also stay on your record for the rest of your life. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's huge, guys. And I mean, any of us who went to college, and certainly my white audience, every white bar that I frequented in college and law school, there was always a fight, a melee that ensued. And I can assure you that these weren't criminally minded people. These were drunk people who were having too much fun. So I want us to also, in our personal lives, take the thought of like this completely violent human being and temper that with context and understanding that if it's a group of college white frat boys, you know, it's just boys will be boys. But somehow it looks very different when those boys have brown skin. So I just want us to hear the weight and how quickly something can go from I just punched a guy to this is a violent criminal offense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't think about that, Chantel.
That's definitely true.
So what made you want to create a process to help this out? You're like,
yeah, I see so much. I have handled expungements throughout the state of North Carolina. We don't just focus on Durham County or Wake County. I've been haven't gone far as Asheville, but we would if we needed to. And it's hard for attorneys to be everywhere. So the best thing I could think of was putting the resources in the person's hands. If they, even if it's a little complicated, it's many people that will be willing to help, and you can help each other. You can help your own community. Sure. You can help your neighbor and say, "Hey, sorry, I have this resource. I want to share it." You know, the main reason was I wanted to get more information to as many people as possible. So this information can go throughout the state, and they can have what they need to at least start, at least see a light, possibly. Without having to pay for a consultation from an attorney, without having to pay, you know, for someone to tell them, oh, well, we're going to do this and then it can't happen. Or, you know, they can kind of take the power back. What's the main reason?
So you saw a lot of the underbelly of this and you're like, you saw what I'm realizing as you're speaking, like, oh my God, there are so many people who need this help and they will never seek out this help because it's too convoluted for them. Or it's too expensive for them. People are intimidated. You know, you and I both went to law school, and it's very funny how people get so easily intimidated by legal stuff. It sounds really like real adult, really, you know, and you're scared of it. So I thank you for seeing that and being like, okay, this is something that I can do. I want to ask you, do you ever see people who are scared to interface with your expungement process because we're so afraid, we're conditioned to be so afraid of the legal system that the moment I start this new expungement process, the man's going to come behind the door and get me another way?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. It's a concern because a lot of people don't feel like they can go through the process.
That's right.
I've talked to some people, and I've talked to people that have started it, and they're making me even more excited because they're like, okay, I did this, now I'm doing this, and that we're interacting. I'm walking them through it, and they're in different parts of the state, which was my goal, because that means I don't have to physically drive to where they are and handle all this, for
Right.
being a person,
So this can only be helpful for them in the state of North Carolina?
Yes, as of now, that's what we're doing. Each state has laws and different regulations, so
Sure.
we focus on North Carolina for now. This is our
Where
first.
would you tell someone to go who is in a different state and doesn't have access to this expungement packet or system toolkit that you've created? Where would you tell that person who's in Washington State or Oregon or, I don't know, Texas to start?
Yeah, some states have different organizations like Legal Aid. It's all over. I know I spoke with a few people in South Carolina. They have a program called Appleseed who helps with things like this. So I would probably try to do a little extra and find out for them and let them know this particular agency definitely handles expunction processes, which is just an extra step that, I have some people in Washington, D.C. that I talk to regularly. They've been able to give me some information. So again, to be a resource to people, to let them know, okay, you can't take care of this in North Carolina. If you have something in Virginia or something in South Carolina, this is where you would go.
I mean, I know, like in my everyday life, Chantel, if something seems remotely difficult or convoluted, guess what I do? I don't do it. I just stay away from it. So I really appreciate you creating a toolkit that allows greater mobility and access to this kind of specialized information in a particular world that is very intimidating. The legal world is very intimidating, especially if you've never been treated well in the existing legal system. You don't trust any part of it. So you're doing something that's quite powerful. Now I want to pivot because, and I do appreciate you talking about the toolkit, and you're going to give me all the information. I'm going to put it in the links below. But you guys, when I was talking to Chantel and learning about this toolkit, you ever have a conversation with someone and the more you learn, you're like, okay, what about this? They keep saying things that's like, what? And then this, and then by the time the conversation is over, you were only going to talk about A. But while they're explaining A, there's bits of B, C, D, E, and F that keep coming out. And you're like, I want to know about B, C, and E. Well, that's what this conversation with Chantel was. She's telling me about this toolkit. And I'm like, well, yeah, but what would make you care about this? And then she started going into her law school process and her undergrad process and her becoming listen, her story truly is an epic sort of story. You see this beautiful woman below with, by the way, your braids are ridiculously on point. I'm trying to get that whole look. I mean, you're taking me back to like Jodie Watley. Hello, like all of it, looking so good. But I want to know if you can please start with what made you want to get into law. Tell us a little bit about your law school, the journey, the process.
Oh, I wanted to be an attorney since I was like 8, I think, since Claire Huxtable.
Do you see how transformed it? What we see matters. What we see matters. You're here telling me about Claire Huxtable.
Yeah, I didn't have anyone in my community that I knew personally or anyone to, look up to or figure out, what to do. So entering into high school, I thought that I had to major in criminal justice. And if you want to be a lawyer, you got to do criminal justice.
Right. Then, until you get to law school, you realize, oh, my undergraduate degree could be international marketing.
yeah, or after studies or something. So didn't know
nursing.
that.
I had a nurse in my law school class.
Yeah. So, those are things that you just don't know. So whenever I talk to young people, I tell them that was the first thing that was an eye-opener. Do whatever you want to do. Not whatever, but anything constructive that you want to do in undergrad, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. The only degree that I saw, and specifically to that, the only degree that requires a very specific undergraduate degree is patent law.
Okay.
And if you're not going into patent law, and patent law requires an engineering degree, but if you're not going into patent law, who cares? And then the only other degree that I just saw serve people well in law school was a poli-sci undergraduate degree. Did I
did.
go away?
No, I was trying to connect something, but yeah, it did. That's what I heard people talk about that poli-sci. It's the thought process that was
Yeah.
helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I don't know what happened. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Majored in criminal justice, had a couple law professors that criminal justice professors that were attorneys, and they were. I
Mhm.
was, I'm in class, I'm just doing whatever. They were like, "Have you thought about, going to law school?" And I was like, "I had thought about going to law school," but by this time, I had a child. I had a child my senior year of high school, so I was like, and they
Did
just
that
kept
really throw you when you found out you were pregnant in high school?
it threw me a little, but it propelled me to do more. And
How old
to
were you?
I was 18 when I had her.
Hmm.
So I had just graduating. So 17 turning 18 that next couple of months. So
Hmm.
yeah, that process, it the school system tried to throw me by not wanting me to graduate and telling me, oh, you have to come to school at night and come to school on the weekends, and just making it more difficult than I saw other people, go through.
Why? Why did they want you to come at night and on the weekends?
They were just saying I had to make up any kind of time I missed. And
Do you think they had a problem with your belly looking pregnant?
no, I think that it was a problem with me being a young Black girl pregnant in high school. I think that
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
during the time. I took extra care not to miss, class. I had doctor's appointments after 3 o'clock, so I wouldn't
Wait,
miss.
so they preemptively asked you to go to school at night and on the weekends when you hadn't missed Jack?
No, after I missed my 5 days, they wanted me
Okay.
to make up 5 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Mind you, I had her. I won't forget. I had her during spring break. So I took that week of spring break. We were out anyway, for a few days, and then I took a extra week. So I missed a certain number of days. Um, and then with doctor's appointments, I would go to school a half a day and come back a half a day. So I try to juggle it. So anyway, I missed the more, maybe 4 or 5 days over what I needed to miss, or they allow me to miss. So they wanted me to come at night and things like that. So I did it. And it was me and one other person in there. And I don't know where all the other students were, but, that were pregnant too. But me and another one of my Black female classmates were in there. So just two of us. Um, so I got through all of that, made it to undergrad, did that, and then they say, my teachers were like, professors, you need to go to law school, you need to try it, don't give up. And that's what I did.
So
And
this is high school. Then you get into college.
get
I
into
need people
college.
to hear this, you guys.
Got
She's
into
a young
college.
mom, right? She's a
Yeah.
young mom out of high school. Were you from a wealthy family?
Oh no.
I just
No.
need people to fully understand the full story. That it seems very simple to you, Chantel, but it's not very simple to everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
so so you're high school, you're not from a wealthy family. Are your mom and father together?
They are together.
Okay, so
They
you're,
Yeah, and to that, happy birthday, Mom. I don't know if she's gonna see this.
hey,
Celestial,
happy birthday, mom.
today's her birthday. um, they were
Happy
still together,
16th, mom.
right? They were together. I'm the only child.
Okay.
So my children are the only grandchildren, so they were very much active in their lives. And so got to college. Um, Ended up having another child at my last year of college.
I
So
want to
that
know how you got the fortitude to say, I'm going to college being a mom. That's hard.
Yeah, yeah, it was extremely hard. Again, when I had my child, I always tell my oldest daughter, I was like, you pushed me, you saved me, because it was the situation. I can't give up. I have somebody looking at me. I have somebody I have to take care of. It can't be, oh, well, I don't feel
It
like
didn't
it's,
work.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, yeah, and she's still a constant motivator to me, even at 24. Um,
Oh, I love it.
she's just awesome. Um, so yeah, so I still kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here talking about it now. I don't know how. A lot of prayer, and just prayer and determination of, oh, I can't do it. Yes, I can. Watch me.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, in the community and my church family, just different people,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she's got a baby, she's gonna just give up. And I was just like, no, I'm not. And it's just been like that from then until forever, even now. And to get into my law school situation.
So hold on, you're trying.
Oh,
See, I know some of these details, so I want to pause for you guys because it is really, it's deep. So high school, have a baby, you still have the fortitude to go, nope, I'm not ending here. I'm going to college. What do you go to college for?
I went to college for criminal justice.
Okay, so undergraduate degree, you're working on a criminal justice degree.
Yeah.
Because you had high school teachers who said, you know what, did you think about being an attorney?
Well, I had high school teachers, and my college professors are also the ones that really pushed me.
Okay, so you go into college not necessarily having the formed up criminal justice, but having professors speaking into your life, and it helped direct you to go, oh, there's a major called criminal justice. I can pursue this.
Yeah, because in my mind, I wanted to be a lawyer. Didn't think I could still do it at that time, but I knew if I could do something with criminal justice, that could still, get me in the right direction.
Sure.
And that's when I met my professors at Elizabeth City State, who were, professors and attorneys. They would come and teach at night and teach, around their schedule. They were actually practicing attorneys.
Okay.
Basically, two of them I remember out of Virginia. One of them was here in North Carolina that really were just like in my ear. They were like, the way you analyze things, the way you process things, you need to try to pursue, being an attorney. So I'm in undergrad, get my 4-year degree. I finished in 3.5 years instead of 4.
Smarty.
I was just working really hard. And I ended up having my son in my last year. So I had my son in September, and I graduated in December with my bachelor.
Wow.
And then I was still like, okay, I'm still going to school. I'm still determined.
Does your son and your daughter have the same father?
No, my daughter's father passed when she was 3 in a car accident. So that was we were like best friends. So that was really rough. And dealing with that and trying to, be there and be mom and keep everything going. But yeah, they don't. My second child, we ended up, getting married, later divorced, but that was my kind of end of year high school sweetheart type, my later years, early college sweetheart type relationship.
So you get pregnant in that September. You have your you have your baby.
September. I had him in September.
Had him in September. Okay.
I graduated in September of that same year.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was still going to school. I was just.
Were your parents helpful for you? I'm trying to see what your support system was. Okay.
A terrific support system. Like I said, I'm the only child. I have so many aunts and uncles. My grandmother, it was still at the time. I think she had retired around the same time that I had. Let me back up. That was my daughter, my baby girl. My mother was on leave from her job at the same time I had my. So coincidentally, she was out of work for doing, I don't know if it was a leave or what was going on with her job position, but they were out of work for a couple of weeks. So she was able to help me with him while I finished school. And then even my friends, I had friends that were like miss class. They would miss class and keep the children. And we would just, kind of alternate there.
Takes a village.
Yeah, definitely a village. And I say that because it can be anybody. It can be a friend, a neighbor, anyone that you trust, like really, really trust, because people are,
crazy.
crazy.
I just literally interviewed a guy who was telling me that he has a friend. I believe it's his friend that he was saying that she's been in this space of just really working through growth and transformation and healing because she was sexually abused from the age of 3. Can we just pause on that? Sexually abused from the age of 3? What is wrong with people? Like, the only thing you should want to do with a 3-year-old is take care of them. Yeah. Truthfully, when I see young kids, they don't have to be my kid. But when I see a young kid, the only thing that I naturally feel about this kid is, how can I take care of him? How can I? So it's just insane to me. So yeah, to your point, it better be someone you trust, because there are crazy people in this world that could actually look at a 3-year-old and think anything other than taking care of them. I don't even know how you get yourself thinking sexually about a 3-year-old. I don't. Something's wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So it's you have to be so cautious, and even you know, that's why I say I don't say just family. I say anyone that you can trust. You know, so
Yep.
it has to be that trust, and even if you trust them, still, you know, do extra because you just never know.
I know. We've always been really big about that. Like, did anybody touch you? Don't let anybody touch you. Don't let anybody get close to you. If you feel uncomfortable, you let us know. No one can ever hurt us. I'm like, listen, no one should be down in your private area for any period of time, even mommy and daddy. This is even when they're still so small that you're cleaning them. We would always reiterate this to Kaya. There's like, this is yours. This is not ours. This is not anybody else's. Because, you know, that kind of stuff is insidious and it's slick. It's slick. Some people are slick who do that.
And it affects your mind and everything else. So having those conversations is,
So you have your son in college, towards the end of college. You graduate that December. You have an incredible support system that's carrying you and helping you navigate this. You have a criminal justice undergraduate degree. You finish in 3.5 years instead of 4. Now, when do we decide we're going to law school for sure, and we're going to take that LSAT and do what we need to do?
I actually started taking the LSAT when I was still pregnant with my son. Took the law school LSAT, guys, is law school admittance test or whatever.
Yep.
Took that, and I sat out. I took it a couple.
Detected at the front door.
Sorry about that.
I sat out. I waited for like a year. So I didn't go. I graduated in 99, and I should have, if I had completed the whole time, I would have graduated in 2000. So I started law school in 2001. So I gave myself a little
That's
time.
when I ended law school.
Oh.
2001, 98 to 2001.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I would have been coming in right after you were leaving. And yeah. So my mom, and my dad, they said, okay, well, we will keep the little ones for you to go off and go to school. I was like, oh, I don't want to, you know, I didn't want to do that. And that was hard. And I was coming home every single weekend and just trying to do and juggle. So that didn't work out too well for me the first time. So I ended up finishing up
No. What do you mean it didn't work too well for you? I
did not get the required 2.0 GPA to finish. I received a 1.8, which was not enough to come back for the second year. And since then, they have a program where if you don't receive the 2.0, you can go to another program and then come back to law school like the following year. They didn't have that for me in 2001, 2002. So 2002, I left there and devastated. I hadn't flunked anything ever. Thinking I've had 2 kids. I went to undergrad. I worked in undergrad.
Are you fearing your intelligence is not there?
Not the intelligence. I felt I still had it. I was mad at myself for not knowing what to do, not reaching out to. Well, I didn't think I had people to reach out to other than my professors, like to tell me how hard this would be, and basically giving up your whole life and everything else. Your life, your sleep, eating, everything. Give up all of that.
I know. And there's a particular, I wanted to say to people who are hearing this and hearing her say, you know, she wasn't able to maintain the 2.0 that was necessary to finish your first year and then come back for your second. Law school grading process is very different than any grading process you've ever encountered if you've never gone. So it's all about the curve, right? It's all about that. And it isn't a definitive A or D or F. There is, everything you do in law school is compared to the execution of the other person. And so there will invariably be someone in all of your law school exams, by and large, are all, they're not multiple choice. It's all essay style. And the essays are specifically looking for a very clear, cogent thought process. And by the way, and I would be out of law school by the time I learned this. So I want people to hear this. It's not a thought process that's natural, that's like, oh, you're smart or you're dumb. It's a thought process that you are familiar with. And most people who are in law school are generational law school people or attorney people. So that's why it was such a salient point in her bio where she said she's a first generation attorney, because by and large, I'm sure she experienced this, almost every person who was in law school with her probably had an auntie, an uncle, a dad, a grandfather, or somebody who was an attorney. They had gone to their law firm at some point. They'd seen what the law book had looked like, right? They had had conversations around the dinner table that might flowed with that same sort of legal analysis, right? I want people to hear that, because I left law school feeling like I was dumb. But it wasn't that I was dumb, it's that I was not familiar with this very particular process of thinking. Now, having said that, there are those who are they just naturally process information like that. My husband's one of them, but I did not naturally process information like that. So we're at a great disadvantage. The only person you looked up to was Claire Huxtable. Who I wanted to be was Matlock, right? None of that is preparing you. None of that is preparing you for the study and practice of law. But go on.
You just said a lot, and I want to respond to it, but I won't. But it's all true. It's all true. Even now, with my children and my husband, it's like we talk differently. And they made that when we had our graduation. That was one of the things. I was like, okay, we're sending you guys these people back that are not going to talk like they used to talk. They're not thinking like they used to think. They're different. We've changed. And that's the conversation I have now, and I can tell that they're different. The whole process of discussing things are completely different.
Yep.
So I didn't finish. I failed out.
So essentially, you flunked out of law school.
Yeah.
How do you feel at that moment?
Oh, it was terrible. I didn't know what else to do. I was just like, wait, I've worked in my eyes years and years and years to get here, and it wasn't easy. Oh, I forgot this part. It wasn't easy getting in. They put me into a performance-based admissions process. They called it PBAP. Okay. And it was a 2-week intensive program where I had to stay on campus and go to law school for 2 weeks in the summer prior to being admitted.
Okay.
So it wasn't just, oh, you're going to get in, just here's your application, here, come on in. I had to go through a rigorous 2-week, it felt like hazing process to get into school.
Wow.
To be accepted and admitted. So went through all of that. So I was just like, okay, I got through PBAP, they saw something in me, I can do it. And then I realized either I couldn't do it or I didn't do it. Whatever the reason was, it was hard on me. Mm-hmm. I got severely depressed, gained all this weight, had to come back home, and then try to be a mom to my 2 babies and deal with my struggles and my own feelings of I wasn't good enough to finish.
Inadequacy. Yeah. Not worthy, not enough. All those things. Yep. Yeah. Those are harsh messages, and they come at us fiercely, don't they? And then especially when you have some external experience that reinforces this internal weakness already, like, see, if you were enough, if you were smart enough, if you were blah, blah enough, you wouldn't have failed out. So what do we do at that point? You failed out of law school. You're back home. What are we doing, Chantel?
Gaining weight and being depressed. That's what I did. I told this story just the other day to my daughter. I woke up, ate, took them to school, came home, ate, went to sleep, ate. Yeah. It was. I was just gonna.
Pardon me.
I could not get it together, and I have a.
Don't worry about me. Keep talking.
I have a friend that used to come, and if she sees it, she'll know who she's talking about. She would come to the house and say, she lived down the street. Wake up! I'm taking a nap. I need a nap. Naps are bad. Naps are bad. And she would tell me to get out of bed, just stop taking naps, just get it together. Get it together. And so I ended up eventually, maybe 6 months. It felt like getting it finally, coming back together. I relocated. I moved. And ended up working with an attorney in Georgia. So I left North Carolina, went to Georgia, and I worked with an attorney for 2 years in Georgia, and then I came back to North Carolina and worked at child support. So I constantly just engulfed myself in the legal world. I was constantly in court. I was constantly, trying to still learn, even though I wasn't in law school. And I really had given up on going back to law school. I was, I'm not. That's it. I'm done. Right. And somehow again, those same people, I saw mentors, I saw people that I was older than come to me and say, I'm inspired to go to law school because of you. And I'm just like, I didn't even finish. I have a cousin that's an attorney right now who tells me all the time, is dying. I have to fix this before it conks out. I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Um,
Get it plugged in. So you have an older cousin who's like,
okay.
hey, I wouldn't have gone to law school if it wasn't for you.
Yes.
That's
Um,
awesome. I
and
mean, it
so
just shows you the power of what we do and how it, I'm thinking about your friend who told you, get up, stop napping. Naps are bad. You don't even have to know. She didn't know exactly what to tell you. She probably is not a psychiatrist or psychologist, a therapist anyway. All she knew is that she saw her friend hurting and her friend looked like she was underwater. And what seemed like wasn't helping that process is napping all sorts of times a day. So one, you don't have to know what to do, how to help your friend or the people you love or the people that you see, but doing something makes a transformative difference. Two, when you do those bold steps of like, okay, finally you get your act together and you stop taking naps that are 8 hours long in the middle of the day and calling them naps. And you jump right back into working in the legal world. So you're not working as an attorney, but at least you're surrounding yourself in that same energy space. At what point do you decide, okay, I'm going back to law school?
it was seeing people, like it was just like signs. I would see people constantly, hey, are you thinking about going back to law school? We were just doing conversations, and I was in a position. This is what it was. I had left child support, and I was working at the university, and I was doing accounting. I went and received my master's in public administration. I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna be a lawyer. Maybe I just, be an accountant, or I'll do, just do something else. Got my master's in 2009, and I started shifting. I was shifting, but not my purpose. My purpose was still the same, and I didn't realize that at the time. So the university had some changes. They changed administration. And I wasn't comfortable there anymore. So I said, you know what, let me try this again. So I said, oh, I'm just going to try it because I could feel I was supposed to be doing something different.
Yeah.
Unexplainable. But I chose to start reapplying to law school again. So I took the LSAT again.
Again.
It's like 13, 14 years later.
That is, wait, pause. That is so beautiful and bold and brave to jump into something after 13 years, because I know what the years say to us. I know those quiet voices that come to us when no one else is speaking. You probably felt like you were washed up and it was so beyond you that was another life and you couldn't relive it.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for being brave.
Thank you. I had, in between that, I had another child. My mom says every time I get a degree, I have a child. I had another child in 2007. So that's my youngest, my baby girl.
So how many children? We have three?
Three, yes.
Okay. And we'll get into
so decided to go back to law school. At the time, I did.
What year is that? 2007?
I had it in 2007. In 2015, I started, 2014, these years. Actually, to be honest, in 2010, I had my daughter in 2007. In 2010, I started reapplying to Central. So 2010, I applied in 2010, 2011, 2012. I applied.
And you didn't get in every time?
Didn't get in. Did not get in. 2015, I did not get in, but I got into another law school. That's how I ended up going to Florida.
Wait, pause. You applied to school for law school on the second go after pretty much 10 to 13 years. You applied 4 times. The first 3 times you get rejected.
Yes.
So you're hearing the message that you feared could possibly be true, that you are not enough. 3 times you hear that and you keep getting your butt up. Sister, you got to tell me how.
I don't know. That's the thing. I can't. It's a lot of prayer, and something inside just wouldn't let me stop. And I just felt like, and I've heard this so many times. When God has something for you, a lot of times it's the enemy tries to block it because he knows it's for you. So I kept hearing that, like, something is for me. Whatever I'm supposed to have is out there, and if I give up and I stop, I'm never going to get it. Whatever that may be. So. So that was a lot of hard years, a lot of depression, a lot of things going on. And even the last time I applied to Central again in 2015. I didn't get in, but I got into Florida Coastal. So I went to Florida Coastal in Jacksonville. My daughter.
How many schools had you applied to? What made you apply to Florida Coastal?
They were sending out information through email, and once you start applying to schools like that, people start. It's like credit, once they try to get credit, everyone wants to send you. Whether you qualify or not, they start sending you stuff.
Right.
So I had a lot. Yeah, and I had applied to Regent, which is in Virginia Beach, which in the beginning, Virginia Beach is like a hour drive, 45 minutes. So I was like, oh, I can go to school there, and it wasn't meant for me to be there. It wasn't meant for me to be close. It was meant for me to take this leap of faith. Me and my daughter at the time, she was in second grade. So just me and her. My husband, I since then since everything was going on, I had gotten remarried and all of that. But he stayed here for work. My son at the time was living with his dad in Charlotte. My daughter was in school. My oldest daughter was in school. So it's just me and my youngest one, and we went to Florida. Just me and her. Didn't know anybody. Prior to going down there, I did take a tour of Jacksonville. I talked to the people at the school. Everything lined up. The school lined up. My school and her school lined up. The timing, everything was just kind of flowed like it was supposed to be going on.
Meant to be.
My apartment, I went there on a Friday, and I was in my apartment on that Monday. Everything just like I was approved for the apartment. Everything was just like flowing, like
lining up. Timing is something, boy. When the timing is there, there's nothing that can stop it. Not even you.
Yeah. Exactly. And I spent the first year down there, and I just studied extremely hard, just gave everything I had to it. And I was able to get a high enough GPA that I applied to Central again. But I feel like 80th time. But applied.
Why were you persistent on applying to Central? Why didn't you just finish up at Florida Coastal? I'm curious.
I want to be close to home. My whole family is in North Carolina, and I'm a family-oriented person. I go through like family withdrawals when I can't see my kids, and and my parents. I'm like I said, I'm the only child, and I have all these aunts and uncles. And my husband was here. Can't forget about him. He was here. So I really wanted to be back home, and I felt like if it was time for me to be home and closer, then that would happen, which is what ended up happening. I got in as a transfer student.
Okay.
So after all that, came back in 2016 to North Carolina as a transfer student, and that's when I started Southern Coalition. Full circle here.
Wait, you just got stuck. Hold on, guys.
There we are.
There. You're back now.
Okay.
So Chantel, you come back to Central, you get accepted finally. So now, just real quick to make sure we know, how many times have we applied to Central?
10, 11, 12, and then 14, 5. I was a transfer student.
You are a power one. I mean, you are a powerful one. So you applied to this school that told you no 5 times. And on the 5th time, they're like, okay, we'll accept you as a transfer student. You are so fuzzy right now. I don't know what's going on with the reception.
I don't know. Am I fuzzy or is it the lighting?
No. Like it's pixelated. I can't see you clearly, but that's all right. I can hear you. So 5 times.
Is this any better?
No. Not really. I'm not sure what's happening, but that's all right.
Okay.
So you apply 5 times. And the 5th time, you're able to come in as a transfer student. How much credit have they given you for what you've done? And how long were you in Jacksonville? How long were you in?
I was in Jacksonville 1 academic year, so from August to June.
Okay, so August to June. What did yeah, I can see you now. What did Florida Coastal receive you as? Did you go in as a 2L?
No, as a new student. I started all the way over. Oh, forgot about the part. Started all the way over. So that first year I did in 2001, out of the window. Yeah, just, and student loans. So not to mention, I'm doing all this on student loans because that's just, how my life is set up. So the first year I lost all those credits, didn't get that I didn't receive any credits, even though even though I didn't receive a 2.0, but I did have at least one class. It was criminal law. I earned a B in law school with criminal law, but I couldn't. They had like you couldn't receive credit for just partial credit. It had to be full credit.
Okay,
Yeah,
so when you start at Florida Coastal, you are a 1L. So you do your 1L year with them, and when you transfer into Central, you're coming in that next year as a 2L. So you have 2 more years in front of you, and you're going to finish out at Central.
Yeah, I transferred in, but not with all my credits. I had 34 credits when I left from Florida Coastal, but they will only take 29 at Central, so I still lost 5 credits. But I was like, okay, I just take some more classes.
And so then when do you graduate?
In 2018, May of 2018.
Okay, so you graduate May of 2018. How did you feel, girl? How did you feel, woman?
It was I was excited, but then I knew the bar was coming, so I could not fully, embrace that moment. I said I'm gonna work.
Because I can imagine you're scared.
Yeah, not done now. Oh, now it's this bar that everybody talks about. Oh, you got to do law school now. It's, you have all these percentages of people that don't pass the bar. So I'm just like, oh my goodness, here we are again. Like, and at the time in 2018, it was some funky stuff going on with the bar. They were transferring to a uniform bar instead of a state-specific bar. So I decided to take the uniform bar, and I went to South Carolina to take the uniform bar there, because North Carolina would accept the scores, but they were not offering the bar at that time. They weren't offering the test yet, but they would take scores from another state. So I went to South Carolina, took the bar down there. I missed the points by like 3 points to be barred in North Carolina. So here I am. Okay, so I can move to South Carolina. We know how much I want to be home in North Carolina.
So you could have moved to South Carolina and passed the specific South Carolina bar, but the general bar, or what did you call it? The uniform bar, you would have allowed you to practice in any state. Is that what it would do?
Yeah. So the uniform bar is it was in the South Carolina. It was a uniform bar in South Carolina, but the scoring is different. So every state has their own score. Okay. So it's between 260 and 270. Like the highest is Alaska. I think they have like a 270. It's like a higher amount, higher score. But the point was that I missed the North Carolina score. So if I wanted to practice law in North Carolina, I had to take the uniform bar again. And then by the time I took it in 2019, just last year, they were in North Carolina was administering the uniform bar at that point. So I was able to take it and passed it for North Carolina. And actually I passed it for every state. So if I want to go to any state within the next 3 years, I can go because my score went up so much.
Hey, I want people to hear this, you guys, because this inspires my heart, Chantel. I need you to hear this. You were told multiple times that you were not enough. You weren't smart enough. You weren't astute enough. You did not have clear enough analysis. It wasn't for you. You were told that through the experiences at least 5 times.
Yes.
And you kept going. And then when you graduated, and then to miss the score of the state that you want to be in by 3 points, I can only imagine that voice is even louder than it ever was before. And now there's a lot riding on it, because it's not just a school score. This is how do I feed my family and live score, because this allows you to actually be in the working environment. And then you go and you take this test, you miss it by 3 damn points. I cannot even imagine. I know myself. I cannot even imagine how loud the voice would be dissenting to my goodness, my enoughness in that moment. So the strength that it took for you to go, bump that, keep it moving. I'm going to study in North Carolina a year later when they have it, and I'm going to take it, and then you get it. Girl, I'm like celebrating right now. How did that just felt like unbelievable, I bet.
Yeah. That was it. That was what I've worked for and prayed for and lost sleep over and lost friendships over and everything else. That was it.
And how many years had transpired from the first time, 2001, and to this is 17 years.
Yeah. And it actually, for North Carolina, 2019, well, 2002, 17 years. Because I left Central in 2002, in May of 2002. And then in May of 2019, is when I was sworn in. To North Carolina. Am I still fuzzy?
No, I can see you now. I can see you now. So this is tremendous. And then you start working for
Southern Coalition.
Southern Coalition, where you are right now. And that's how I met you, through a common friend we have, Ryan, who I believe is on the board there.
Yes, he's on the board, and it's been some shifts, so he's actually our interim co-executive director. So
hello, executive. I always tease him about being so fancy. I'm like, fancy, just director and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Then this past summer, you had a huge another hit. Do you mind sharing that with us?
I'm trying to share it and not get too emotional.
You can. And I appreciate you sharing it.
My son was in a car accident. He was a passenger in a car accident on June 5th of this year. He passed away.
What was his name?
Raymond Jerdary, Deshaun Carver. We called him RJ, Ray. He had a lot of names. Gummy Bear. My mom called him Gummy Bear. My mom's side of the family called him Ray Ray. All these, he was, you know. Oh, my daughter just sent me a message.
Oh, you do got it, Mommy. I see your daughter.
That's my oldest.
Hey. Hey, oldest daughter.
Tia.
So RJ.
Yes. So in the middle of COVID and
quarantine, lockdown, everything, pandemic, world looking crazy.
Yeah. Trying to deal with all of that. We lost our part of our puzzle, part of our, I call them my heartbeats. I call all of them my heartbeats. So I lost my middle heartbeat, and it's just been extremely difficult. But
he's the one that you had the last year of college. He's the one that was born in that December.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, that September, and you graduated that December.
Yeah.
RJ, how'd you find out about this car accident? How old was RJ too?
20. He would have been, he was 20 in June when he passed, and he would have been 21 September 26th of this year. So
I want you guys to know this. I wanted to just share this. When Chantel and I were speaking, she was like, I don't know what to say about my son. Like, I got to rework my bio because I don't know how to account for that when I'm talking about my children. And I said to her, and I know that you guys would be saying this with me, you are the mother of 3 children. That's who you are. However, one of those 3 children has gone on. You don't stop being the mother of 3 children because they're not here. Right. You will always be the mother of RJ. I wish I would have had the opportunity to meet him. I look forward to meeting your other children. So I just wanted to pause and say that our sister, who's sharing time and space with us, was just a little concerned of how does she even address that, because the loss is so deep and so profound. But again, I hope you hear me. You're still his mom. When you got that information, Chantel, what did you do? Where are you? Take us to that moment.
Oh my goodness. I was at home, and it was on a Friday, and I had, it was Friday morning, and one of my friends who works at the prosecutor's office in Greenville, she called because she knew. And so she just called with a general check-in, hey, everybody's working from home. So it's kind of like, I'm like, hey, well, what you guys doing in Greenville? Just having a, general conversation. But I didn't realize that she was calling me to make sure I was home and make sure I was in an area where I could, get that information at that time, that tragic news. So talking to her on the phone, then I, get a knock at the door. But prior to that, and it's just, we had a protest. I assisted in organizing a protest, a peaceful rally is what it was, for George Floyd and all that was going on, still going on. And I met a minister that day, it was on a Monday, and she prayed over our rally. So we have a peaceful rally, no one would get hurt, just let us, everything just, happen peacefully. That was on Monday. And that same week, she's the one that had to come to my house and tell me about my son. I met her that Monday and then that Friday, and she didn't realize who she didn't realize until I, told her after I calmed down a little bit. I said, because she had to pray for me because I was just, I was done, and it was
Why
her.
was she the person to disseminate that information to you?
She's an officer. She was on the
She's an
scene.
officer, right?
Yeah, and she was on the scene of the car accident, and I was just like, "Why are you here at my house?" I was like, and my first thing was, my black son. What y'all say he did? My
Right.
criminal defense attorney.
Yes,
What
yes.
y'all,
Did he steal a backpack? Did he look at you funny?
Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
here, and they were like, no, and it was her and one of my classmates that I went to like elementary school with, so I knew both of them, and for them to have to come and tell me that, it was hard for them to they couldn't even get it out, and they just said it was an accident. I was just like, no, I wasn't expecting that. It was horrible.
It's horrible. I'm so sorry. It really is horrible.
It was, you think you talk to your children about, everything, and you prepare them for living without you. That's what you try to do. Y'all need to know how to do this, because I'm not always going to be here. You need to know how to cook. Even your sons know how to cook, because you don't know who you have to cook. You have to clean, take care of your bills, money management, all that. And that was, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But I told the story about the lady, because she's a minister and she's a police officer, and I met her that Monday, and she prayed with me and for me. And I don't let everybody just pray.
I get it. Don't be laying hands on me. I don't know you. Right.
and it was lined up so that I knew her and I was comfortable for her praying with me and for me. But yeah, it was the worst thing. And everybody I talk to, people are like, "Oh, you're so strong." So I'm not. I'm just going through day by day.
I've been really processing that. Yes, you are strong. But the thing about it is, I think we come up with an idea of, we see people that we denote, that we think denotes strength. We look at them, we go, that is a strong person. And we come up with an idea of what we think it feels like to embody that type of strength that we see exhibited in that person. And then we're going about our lives and we're doing what we're doing, and we're never quite feeling what we think you feel when you are that strong person. And the truth is that being strong doesn't feel strong. Being strong just feels like putting one foot in front of the other. Being strong, oftentimes, in my case, feels like right below the water surface where you're about to lose breath. That's what being strong feels like. So I think we try to go for a feeling, and strength is not a feeling. It's just actions. It's a doing. And so, yes, you are strong. You are exceptionally strong. But in your exceptional strength, there's not a moment where one goes, I am strong. We feel weak. We feel our backs feel bent. We feel isolated. We can feel lonely. We can feel without an idea, a clear thought of what the next step is. So I just want to encourage us all that being strong is not a feeling. It's a doing. And so you are strong, young lady. You're exceptionally strong. I cannot imagine. I thank you for taking us through the process of how long it took for you to get your law degree. 17 years. And the tenacity to keep knocking on a door that was telling you you're not meant for here. And you keep saying, yeah, I am. I just feel it's for me. It's what I'm supposed to do. You keep knocking on that door, and right after, whoo, you get it. You take the bar, and you are a licensed barrister in the state of North Carolina. You get the awful, awful, awful news that your son that you had right at the end of college has passed away. And you keep putting one foot in front of the other. So yes, ma'am, you are strong. Yeah, you are. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know I've kept you, and I know you have to get back, but I just have a couple of questions to end it. So right now, all of what you've shared with us, and I thank you so much for it, what would be the one thing you would want people to take away from our conversation, Chantel? I love the name Chantel, by the way.
It means a new beginning, actually.
I love it.
It stems from Chantal. My parents switched up a little bit, but
You gotta switch it up.
Yeah. Don't take no. Don't take no. Don't take you can't. Just
Don't take no. They don't know. They do not know.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. I love that. Don't take no. Chantel, in the spirit of James Lipton, I like to end my interviews asking these questions that he used to espouse on Inside the Actor's Studio. What sound or noise do you love?
The sound of rain.
Ooh, you know what? That is interesting. I love that sound too. The person who John Buchins, who I just interviewed a few days ago, I think, or last week, he loves the sound of the rain falling down, of trickling rain. He's trickling water, and it made him feel safe. Why do you like the sound of the rain?
I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's because I'm a Pisces, if that has anything.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just bought a machine that plays rain throughout the night, so I just love it. It's calming. It reminds me that everything washes away,
Mm-hmm.
and grows again.
Yeah.
So I just like to hear that.
I love that. What sound or noise don't you love?
Um, I haven't thought about that. What don't
Is there a noise that you go, oh, I don't like that noise?
sirens? Police
I don't
sirens.
like that either.
Yeah,
They're jarring.
it gives me anxiety, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had a few experiences, and I don't like them. It just takes me all the way back to trauma. Don't like the sound of police.
I love it.
The police sirens. I don't like those.
I understand. I understand. Tell me, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Oh my goodness. These are on the spot.
All right.
I don't like creasing paper. That's a no. Creasing paper.
I saw that. I saw you. She's like creasing paper.
It's just weird. My favorite word would be uplift.
Oh, uplift.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like
wine or whiskey?
Whiskey.
Oh, what type?
I don't know a brand.
I don't know a brand, but whiskey.
Yeah.
I love it.
Maybe it's the song Tennessee Whiskey that I'm just so in love with.
I mean, by Chris Stapleton. Well, I know it's his version of it. I know it's a redo, but God, dog, that brother can sing, right?
Yes.
I'm like, I am in smooth. I mean, like, I know nobody wants to hear that, but I do drop it for my family and my friends. Okay. Yeah, I love that song too. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, my children are watching.
They think their mom's amazing because she is.
I don't say shit.
I say that one a lot. It fills up space just wonderfully. Like, what is that shit over there? Oh, shit. Yeah, it's just a good one. Shit. Yeah, I like that one too. If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, you're a hard person to ask this question to. What would you be doing? Because I'm like, whatever she would be doing if she wasn't doing it now, she would have been doing it because it took her 18 years to get here. So what would you be doing if you weren't doing it? If you weren't doing what you're doing now?
Well, something in either a youth setting, whether it's a youth center, a counselor, something dealing with youth before they reach the age of giving up.
I love that. Here's my last question, Chantel. If heaven exists, if God exists, I should say, what do you want him to say when you get to heaven?
I saved you a spot beside your son.
That is beautiful. And I'm sure you will hear that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Chantel, I appreciate you deeply for sharing your time and space with me. You have a wonderful day. Your story is epic.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.